Jos Verstappen is an interesting character. He is a former F1 driver who has driven alongside the legendary Michael Schumacher, but his career has been tarnished with stories of violent past, including an arrest for attempted murder, and he has also been accused of going too far with his tough love approach to parenting. Jos threw everything at his son's career, from his first ever kart race to the 2021 World Championship. Jos sums up the lessons he tried to cultivate in his son in a simple way. As a father, you always want to help your son as best as possible. I tried to push him in the right direction, but that didn't always come across positively. Many young aspiring drivers have gone through similar experiences. Verstappen was put to the test in a number of ways. I remember he was probably 8 or 9 or something, says Jos. Wednesdays, the school was finished at 12. We went to the go-kart track, and in the wintertime, it was freezing. So I let the van run so he could warm up, and then we did 10 laps. He was cold. I said, okay, go warm up. And then 3 minutes later, Max was not back. Fuck, where is he now? Come on. And Max would say, I'm still cold. I don't care. Drive. And he couldn't move his fingers, and I didn't care. I wanted to test things because I was building engines and changing chassis, and I wanted to have a result because I wanted to move forward. I could barely hold the steering wheel, Max interrupts. Jos adds, and then when the fingers warm up again, that's very painful. I said, shut up. Trying to make me tough, I think, says Max, laughing. Such methods may be considered excessive by some. They do, however, reflect a more traditional way of doing things. Former Red Bull driver Coulthard, who hosted the interview with this particular exchange, describes it as tough love. There are plenty of stories like this. Max recalls one incident from his penultimate year of karting, in which his father thumped him over the crash helmet in front of others after one practice session in which he was driving like a potato. Max, imitating his father, says the message was, if you don't drive normal, we go home. I'll pack up everything. Jos points out that Max went on to qualify on pole, win all his qualifying races and the main events. A nice wake-up call. I needed it, Max claims. But I knew his driving style, insists Jos. And I can see if he was making bad choices or driving bad. I could see it immediately. I woke him up. He needed that sometimes. This has been explained as a personality difference. Jos describes his son as a very good character. He has a gentle character. When he puts his helmet on, it changes. He's more aggressive because he wants to win. As seen in F1 in 2020, a more mature Max was able to deal with the disappointment of not being able to compete for the World Championship with humor and a laid-back demeanor. In an interview with The Race, he even joked that it was a lot harder on his father. Max's method of dealing with pressure and getting the most out of himself for as long as he can remember has been to shrug off disappointments, thereby preventing pressure from building in the first place. Jos was taken back by this, Max admits, especially in his younger days. My dad sometimes thought I was too relaxed, too easygoing. Jos agrees. He says it was all very easy for him and felt that sometimes meant that Max did not care enough. The time Jos left Max at a service station is a prime example of this. It was the weekend following the 2012 CIK FIA KZ2 World Cup, which Verstappen recalls as one of the easiest weekends of his career. He earned the pole position for the main race despite a burned clutch in qualifying and a 10th place start in the pre-final, but was wiped out on the second lap after crashing with a rival he was impatiently trying to repass. Max admits, it was a bit stupid and unnecessary, so I crashed. No world championship. My dad invested so much time already the years before, preparing the engines, making sure that once I stepped up to that category, everything would be ready to go. So I was, of course, upset, but my dad was really upset and disappointed in me. He broke down the tent, everything. He threw it in the van. I had to pick up the cart with a friend of mine on the track after the race because my dad said I had to do it myself. We sat in the van on our way back home. I wanted to talk to my dad about what happened, my opinion about the incident, but my dad didn't want to talk to me. I kept trying, and at one point, he stopped at a fuel station, and he's like, "Get out, I don't want to talk to you anymore." The full context is that Max's mother was a few minutes behind in a separate car, and Jos claims he never intended to abandon the teenager outright. You came back anyway, so it's alright. Max defends his father at this point. We drove about 1,800 kilometers back home. I didn't say a word to him, Jos says by way of explanation. And the whole week after, I didn't speak to him. And then we sat together, I explained to him how I felt. The whole week, he didn't feel comfortable with the whole situation, but I wanted him to understand that we had to think. The season afterward, we won everything. We won 2 European championships, the World Championship, we won every race. He was so focused. The way he was racing, you could see he was thinking. And I think because of what happened at that race, it made him a better driver. He uses his head more, and his driving style is more fluent, is Jos's appraisal. I can be aggressive, says Max. I just like to race hard. I think my dad also did that. I think I just have a bit more finesse in my driving style. But that's also what we worked on when I was very little. My dad wanted me to become better than him. That goal has now been achieved. Max Verstappen has developed into a quick, instinctive driver with a lot of adaptability, aggression, and, with each season, more maturity and better judgment. He is a living example of how a driver's qualities are determined by both nature and nurture, even if nurture is a soft word or is racing education at times. As a result, he was widely regarded as Lewis Hamilton's heir apparent, and in 2021, he ended Hamilton's championship run. And that's why, as harsh as it can be sometimes, both father and son fully support the process that shaped Verstappen into the driver he is. What do you think of Jos Verstappen's unusual teaching methods? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Also, if you're new to this channel, subscribe and click the notification bell to get notified when we upload more content. We will see you in the next one.